every day, particularly for this utility. And so, Ms. Yolanda.
Mayor Cantrell.
Present.
Councilmember King. Director Barnes.
Here.
Director Duplessis.
Present.
Director Markowitz.
Present.
Director Guzman.
Present.
Director Pacho.
Here.
Director Sloss.
Here.
Director Howard.
Here.
Director Scholas. Mayor, we have a quorum.
Okay, very good. So we have officially brought our meeting to order. And thank you, Ms. Yolanda. I would entertain a motion to approve the minutes of our last meeting, the board meeting, April 19, 2023. Need a motion to approve.
So moved.
Okay, we have a motion by Director Sloss, seconded by Director Barnes. Any questions? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, the minutes have been officially adopted. Thank you very much. Turning it over to our Executive Director, Ghassan Corbin. Good morning.
Good morning, Mayor, and good morning, everybody. Great to be here today. A lot is going on, and I want you to know that on behalf of my team, that we remain steadfast and focused on our daily responsibilities. And I hope that today's report will reflect that, just that fact, that we are focused and we do everything we can every day to make our customers' lives much better, and the quality of life of theirs much better. So with that, I'm going to start with updating the board. Let me control this. On some infrastructure items, talk about our, obviously, smart meter, financial stability, and a few other items. So I'm very excited to share with you this morning something that, as you know, we made priority for a good reason, which is the surface cuts that are obviously scattered across the city. We have identified 3,000 open paving work orders, and again, we've identified the costs associated with managing those. And we've made major adjustments this year to tackle that backlog and all the new locations that we continue to create as we respond to water main leaks, choke sewers, and whatever we may face every day. So we are, compared to last year, we are 45% higher in terms of production, and that's because we have two contractors who are helping us manage those locations. We have bolstered our own crews, and we are certainly seeing the results, and we hope that our customers are seeing those results. We are receiving positive emails from folks acknowledging and thanking us for that. A key and significant effort on behalf of DPW that is taking place this year, that is also helping whittle down that backlog. So the mayor had approved the expenditure of $8.6 million in bond funds from the city. So there's currently a contract that managing about 400 to 500 locations, and there is a subsequent one following that will take care of the remaining, hopefully up to 1,200 locations. Again, this is a huge improvement, thanks to obviously many of our staff who made it a priority and accepted that responsibility. And again, ultimate goal for us is to get rid of the backlog and start managing our current or ongoing load. And 2 to 4 weeks sounds very ambitious, and I believe that we're gonna get there, but there may be intermittent milestones to get us to that.
Absolutely.
So-
What I would add, though, Ghassan, is the biggest focus has been able to have multiple contractors that have been onboarded, and that is a mission and a directive that I've given my team. Higher up, we know that capacity is an issue. Higher up in other ways, meaning contractual services and work. The 8.6 million indicated was definitely bond funding. This goes back to the public approving a $500 million bond sale for the city of New Orleans in November of 2019. Who knew, again, we would be faced with the pandemic, but this was the purpose, gap filling, gap financing, but that bond money is so precious, and the covenants that are attached to bond funding have to be followed, so.
Absolutely. And obviously, from our perspective, the more you do, the more you obviously you need to spend. So we've actually consumed or exhausted the budgeted amount for this year, and we have identified another source of funding through another source of funding that we're pursuing to allow us to keep the pace and basically double the expenditure and double the amount of work that we do. So very, very exciting, and we will keep you updated on progress. So the next key project, obviously, we want to share with you, and it's a standing item for us, obviously, is to keep you updated on the power complex, specific to energy speeds. They remain spot on. I mean, right on schedule. You can see now components coming out of the ground. Very, very exciting. Much more visible, obviously, than the piles and the foundations and what have you. And it obviously is going to continue to grow and become more visible. So this is as real as anything, and it's very imminent. On our end, we continue to juggle a lot more complex project. And we're maintaining a very good schedule. Obviously, the one I guess unknown or uncertainty is specific to the capital outlay funding. We are in a waiting phase now, and once we know what the final number that is allocated for us, we would then make adjustments of the schedule and see how that impacts it, and then we will obviously share it with you as soon as we know. So.
And Gassan, I think this is a great place to just mention, and Ron, thank you for your participation and leadership in our FEMA Regional Director's visit to the city a couple of weeks ago. Stayed several days, was on a tour of all of our sites, particularly focusing on the power complex, but giving just accolades to the utility about the progress. Being able to see it on the ground means a lot, and this is very important as we're trying to protect the federal dollars that are already allocated or could be additionally allocated to this work. So it's very important, and I don't know, Ron, if you wanted to speak to any of that during Gassan's report.
No, and just a quick thing. I mean, as the mayor indicated, it was a very good meeting with the FEMA regional administrator, as well as the GOSEP leadership with Casey Tingo, and it showed the federal as well as the state representatives, the partnership between Sewage and Water Board and DPW as well as the city, and some of the innovations that have occurred in the field relative to construction, pipe bursting, and the need to look at the request to extend that timeline further out so we can appropriately utilize the funds and complete those construction projects. So.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you, Ron. Yeah, there's nothing more gratifying but to showcase the work that we're doing on behalf of obviously the federal governments and their investments. So truly a proud partnership between us. So very exciting. Another standing item is the pumping and power. We are down a couple pumps for maintenance and some repairs. So we are at 92 of the 99. Not in any concern. However, our job obviously and goal is to bring that number as high as we can before the hurricane season starts, or at least in the early stages of that. So there are a couple maintenance of those will put us in a better shape. Obviously, being more proactive and anticipate some of the failures so we can stay ahead of it. So it's very exciting to share with you that we currently have smaller frequency changes that are scattered in different places. And we historically have used them, but we've had issues with them before. And Ron and his team has bolstered those frequency changers and did some significant maintenance on those and made them much more usable. So currently, on a dry weather day, we're able to use those frequency changers and not use any of our turbines, which means we're just buying power straight up and letting it go through our frequency changers and just allowing us to use that power for whatever daily needs during a dry weather event. So it's been a bit more efficient, gives the, obviously the turbines a break or allow us not to use them because obviously, with T5, as you all know, it has some potential issues for our neighbors. So just trying to be as sensitive and as thoughtful as we can be when it makes sense. During a wet weather event, obviously the turbines are much, much needed and they are the workhorse for us. So we then have no choice but to use them. So any questions on power?
Just a question, the drainage pumps that are not available, are they distributed throughout the city? Are they kind of in one area?
They're scattered and none of them pose a concern because of the redundancy and the availability. Like, the last one, DPS 6, one is down, but 11 remain available and operational. So, yeah. Talk a little bit about the smart metering update. A very, very exciting progress we're making. My staff was thoughtful enough to draw this analogy to describe the project. There's so much going on behind the scene, allowing us to roll out and implement and execute the project, very, very successfully. So it may not be very visible, all the things that are happening, but they are crucial for a successful execution. So a lot is going on, reflected by this the slide. The more visible part is obviously imminent. People are going to start seeing us out there, with installations. But wanted to share with you that, if it's not visible, but it's happening. And this is a layout of the schedule. We're maintaining it. We're adapting to a few things. And in the next slide, I'll share with you a couple of the actual installation that is happening. But just I thought this speaks volumes of, again, behind the scene critical steps that must happen before we can become more visible out in the community.
Does it look like we're going to be on schedule? Or am I
Yes,
getting ahead of- all right.
yes. There's no concerns because the team is adapting to supply chain, for example. So if they say we don't have this, but we have this, then we just flip, we're flipping the schedule accordingly. Some visible items that you will see, we have 7 of the 12 base stations that have been installed. This is one that is installed on top of the one of the water hammers. And again, without this component, the smart meter it cannot communicate with, and it doesn't work. So that's why that infrastructure has to be in place to allow that, again, that first smart meter to be able to be useful for us. So again, the team has been tremendously thoughtful and nimble in terms of keeping things progressing very nicely. Some of you were introduced to one, I guess, sub-PR firm or sub-scope with a PR firm being brought on as an add-on to a larger communication team to allow us to deliver a very important message relative to how are we going to swap the meters and allow us to comply with the lead and copper rule and protect our consumers during that swapping of the meter by providing them with a pitcher that would serve as a filter for lead. As I explained before, the lead levels in water tend to spike when there's any disturbance of the lead service line. So we're doing everything that we can, and we're doing this right, and we're doing it voluntarily for now to again be the best utility protecting our consumers from any dangers associated with lead. So that's the messaging is going to be very critical, and we owe you an overall plan that we'll bring to you that incorporates this one particular piece of the messaging. So.
Well, and this is this is in alignment with the EPA rules that are forthcoming. And because our utility is one of the first in the country that's having to embrace and adapt to these new changes, and we're doing it sooner rather than later. So this is, we're moving in the right direction.
And how we communicate with our public is very critical. So that's why we're seeking help by your urging to bring the expert to the table to help us with that. Moving on to financial stability, I know probably, I mean, I think it's worth repeating. You know, this is a huge milestone for the utility. Obviously, with Gray leading that charge, and we're finally here. Obviously, we have a selected vendor who's gonna lead us into the 21st century. I mean, we have a very antiquated system. This brings more efficiencies, centralizing the process of our financial monitoring and tracking and budgeting. So kudos to obviously Gray and his team for getting us this far. Now we enter into negotiation, and it's a couple of years worth of implementation, but you got to start somewhere. So very, very exciting.
This is huge, and also kudos to Gray for doing this. It's gigantically important, and a place where we've had fractious systems that have been around since before me almost. So I think this is a gigantic thing. People don't focus too much on.
Before you mean before birth? Yeah.
I do. No, I did
Pretty
mean that.
accurate.
No, that's exactly what I
It's
meant.
true.
So this is great. It's not something that people focus on unless it doesn't work.
Yeah.
That's right.
In terms of workforce development, we had the first kickoff meeting for the people plan. On the picture on the left, you know, as you can see, a lot of folks, including the task force or the steering committee that consists of our employees, with the meeting with the consultants to kick off that project. But again, very exciting. We're being thoughtful, very intentional, and very, very inclusive and transparent. So I'm very excited to what is yet to come with this project. We have the second job fair. As you know, last year we held one and it was very successful, and we're obviously repeating with key lessons learned, and we're very excited about that. So if there's anything that you'd like to have us do or see, if you want to participate in that, you're welcome to. It's on June 9th, and kudos to our HR team for capitalizing on the success from last year. So very excited. In terms of stakeholder engagement, we'll stay busy. The first one, we went to DC. We were invited by the EPA Office of Water. We were part of about 10 utilities. We were brought in to share current issues and challenges and successes. So it was very exciting to hear. It's like group therapy a little bit. With a lot of common issues that utilities are facing, you tend to voice your community's opinion and challenges, and it was very exciting session. We were very, very glad that we were one of the selected few that got to be invited there. So
You in the picture?
unfortunately not, because I had to leave 10 minutes early, and then they took the picture at the end. So they were gonna Photoshop me there, but it's fast. But I was there, and I got the participated in bulk of it. It was and I got to speak my part, so it was very good. We went up to the Capitol, to Baton Rouge, met with our New Orleans state delegation, make sure that obviously they've been very engaged and supportive, and as you know, that they've been extremely critical in the power complex funding. And then we basically gave them an update on where we are and how critical it is that the funding comes this year to allow us to continue the project. It was key to talk about, last year's money is being utilized this year because we have to have the money in hand to be able to allow us to encumber contracts. So if you don't have the money, you can't sign a contract. So it kind of lines up, it's like you're a year ahead. So if whatever money we get this year will be utilized for 2024. So we remain hopeful that money will come our way and we can keep that project on track. Couple infrastructure open houses are coming up that we will participate in. And then tomorrow we're hosting the Chambers of Commerce. They're actually hosting their meeting at Captain Water Plant, and we're gonna give them, it's kind of presentation on where we are as a utility, as part of what we've been doing since the beginning of the year. And we're also going to give them a tour of the power complex, again, just so they can become advocates of all the progress and successes that we're.
Yeah, when you see it, it's hard to deny progress.
Right.
Yeah.
So very, very exciting. And if that shows or proves successful, we're going to obviously then invite other groups to utilize our space to have their own business meetings, and then again, a way for us to showcase what we're doing. And lastly, next Tuesday, the ASCE, American Society of Civil Engineers, is hosting an event. Obviously, you're all invited. This is to commemorate or celebrate the drainage system in the city. There'll be a plaque that will be unveiled. So it's a feel-good event, just kind of celebrate what we've been doing as the Sewage and Water Board for the city for over 100 years. And that the city exists is because of the genius system that had been designed and allowing the city to thrive. So we would welcome all of you to be part of that.
The ASCE is doing this for us.
They have chosen the system as
It's
a
an
worthy
honor for us?
project for
Yeah.
us. Yeah. So we
By somebody else, I'm sorry.
Yes.
yeah. We don't promote ourselves. Others are.
I didn't know.
Yeah. No, it's a great question. And it's obviously they do that elsewhere, and they thought our system is worthy, and we certainly agree, and we're very happy. So that concludes my presentation.
Thank you very much, Mr. Corbin. Any questions, comments relative to the director's report? If not, Ms. Yolanda, we can move forward with committee reports.
Yes, and now we have Director Sloss to give us the Finance and Administration Committee report.
Very good.
Good morning, thank you. The Finance Administration Committee met Wednesday, May 10th, in the Executive Boardroom and convened at about 9 a.m. Present with myself, Directors Guzman, Pacio, Howard, and Markowitz. As is usual, our CFO, Sir Gray Lewis, presented an update on the 2023 financial position. Highlights of that are our cash levels are good, 179 and 210 days on water and sewer levels, which are well above the minimum thresholds are set. Our collections were down a bit in April, but not out of line. We had a large installment of tax revenue, $23 million for the fiscal year, and comes in around 65 if memory serves me. We received an update on customer service statistics, aged receivables. There was a 2% or $1,100,000 decrease in the past due category, which is progress. Disputed accounts were 3,556, which is an interesting number. We get that on a monthly basis. I don't know if we focus on it. So less than 3% of our accounts are in dispute. And we want 0 in dispute, of course, but 3% is a low number.
Less than 3%.
I'll leave that at that.
Yeah, it's progress.
It is progress. And of 140,000, we have 3,500. Anyway, average days to close dispute decreased to 79 from 93 days, which is also good work. We approved, we had two action items. We had 3 awards, 3 renewals. We had the usual information items that you all received in your package ahead of time. There was no public comment. So at that point in time, adjournment was moved and seconded, and we adjourned at approximately 9:36 for a brief but productive meeting. Thank you. That's my report.
Thank you very much. Any questions? All right, so I would entertain a motion to approve the Finance Administrative Report as presented by Director Sloss. Okay, it's been moved by Director Howard, seconded by Director Pacho. Any questions? All in favor? Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, ayes have it, and the report has been officially adopted. Ms. Yolanda.
Now we have Strategy Committee report by Director Barnes.
Thank you so much. The Strategy Committee met on Tuesday, May 9th at approximately 9:30. Present were myself, Director Sloss, Howard, Schultz, and Guzman. Actually, both of the items that we discussed at this meeting have been referenced by Ghassan, and so I'm going to just reference them a little bit more, but we were lucky enough to have the PR firm that was referenced, Katz and Associates, make a presentation to us, and that was Karen Snyder and Michelle Gannon, about the work that they are now undertaking around strategic communications around the lead and copper service line regulations, and how they are actually starting with a smart meter public relations engagement. And so this was very exciting because it really follows the last presentation that we had about our strategic communications plan, and is just further evidence about how we are investing in community engagement and communications. So we will very much look forward to following that and seeing how they are proceeding in the community and educating our customers. The second item we discussed was we had a brief presentation from our Chief of Staff, Christy Horowski, about the state legislative session. Heard a little bit about the outcomes of that and how the Sewage and Water Board participated in the Baton Rouge activities at legislative session. So again, both those items were just really terrific to hear about, and you know, it's great to see how things are starting to line up around communications.
I had a comment. The PR firm, I thought they were exceptionally impressive, and was delighted to hear they said we're way ahead of the curve of most people in this, which is great news. They were terrific, I thought. So.
Thanks for that. Yeah, great. And I just want to recognize also Grace Birch, because she's working with them very closely, and so making sure that everything is aligning.
Yeah.
Does that complete your report?
Yes, it does.
Okay, thank you very much. So we have just heard our Strategy Committee's report by Director Barnes. I need a motion to approve.
So moved.
Moved by Director Guzman. We need a second.
Second.
Seconded by Dr. Duplessis. Any questions? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, we have officially adopted the Strategy Committee's report. Thank you very much, Ms. Yolanda.
And now we're ready for the election of the President Pro Tem, and so we will need a nomination from the floor.
Very good. So I will open it up, and first, before doing so, I just want to thank Dr. Tamika Duplessis for your leadership in serving as President Pro Tem of the utility for over 8 years. I appreciate that, and even being in my stead when I'm absent, which has been very few times, I would say, in the history of the city of New Orleans in terms of the mayor's participation. I think I have won the trophy. But regardless, thank you so much, seriously, for your leadership. You were able to, spearhead the first chief audit executive that we've hired. Thank you very much for that. You also just restructured our board packets, making sure that it was more easy to read, and to the way that it was translated, and transparent at that, but it just broke it down to it was more, we could understand it better. And even for the public, quite frankly, thank you for that. But just also, I'm just happy that you're staying on, no doubt, but you will now be over the governance committee for the utility. So I look forward to working with you on our search for general superintendent. We're putting that on your plate. All right, good. So thank you again. And so without further ado, it is my hope, I would like to make a motion to nominate our very own director, Lynn Poco Sloss, to be the next president pro tem of the utility. So that is, I'm putting that on the table.
We will need a second.
Second.
Super second. Triple second.
The mayor nominated.
Absolutely.
So I nominated Lynn Poco Sloss. It's been seconded by Director Howard. Any questions? Okay. Hearing none, I'll ask for your approval, your motion to approve.
Oh, so move?
We just need a vote.
Motion second, all in favor.
Oh, all in favor? Aye.
Any opposed, any abstentions? Okay, so the ayes have it, and we have officially nominated and approved
Thank you.
Poco
It's a-
Sloss
it's a
as the
tough
new
race, but
president
I'm
pro
glad to come out
tem.
victorious. Thank you, Tamika. Thank you so very much for everything.
Y'all, it has truly been my pleasure to serve as President Pro Tem. Thank you for supporting me, believing in me. Your guidance and encouragement, Mayor Cantrell, has truly kept me focused and allowed me to do what I was able to do during my time here. I can't say enough about my board members. There's never a time that I was able to call you guys or send a text and you did not respond. Your cooperation and encouragement throughout the years, I didn't realize it was 8, has been absolutely tremendous. Gassan, board leadership, you guys are absolutely tremendous. Thank you for being forward-thinking and pushing this organization to great heights. I have to tell you, we have not always agreed eye to eye on everything, but we've always come together for the betterment and improvement of this utility. And for that, I say thank you. To the men and women of the Sewage and Water Board, you guys are the best and the brightest at what you do. You cannot be compared to anybody across the country. And if I've done nothing during my time here, I have learned how valuable the men and women of the Sewage and Water Board is to the city, to the state, and all of those who live, play, and inhabit the city of New Orleans. So for that, I thank you. Guys, the best is yet to come. I am super confident that the leadership is going to do great things and that we will accomplish nothing that we don't put our minds to. So thank you all for your time, your efforts, and just working together to improve this organization and make an impact on the city of New Orleans. So thank you all.
Thank you very much. I think you scared Poco about how often we would get together and meet. We had our first sit down earlier. Well, was it last week or was that Monday? Monday. Wow, it seems like it's only Wednesday. But Poco and I have sat down and we have a level of understanding and, of course, the support that I will give him, he will give me relative to this utility. So thank you so much for your leadership and your service in this capacity.
Thank you. I'll do my very best.
Very good. Ms. Yolanda.
And now we have Resolution 079-2023, declaration of vacancy on the Board of Directors for the Sewage and Water Board for Council District D. So we'll need a motion.
Very good. So as you all know, the director for District D tendered her resignation for the utility and took a position actually with the city of New Orleans. So is an employee now of the city. And so with that, we do have a vacancy, and this is to declare it vacant so that we can follow the proper process for selecting a new director for District D. So we need a motion to approve.
So move.
Okay, we have a motion, I'll say by Director Duplessis, seconded by Director Sloss. Any questions?
Are there any specific requirements on this? Like,
Very
does it have to be an
specific.
engineer or one of those things?
No.
No.
It's just this particular one is living in District D.
Yeah. Okay.
The engineering requirement was taken off in the last 2 legislative sessions ago.
I need to catch up.
Well, it was taken off because, you know, people have these bright ideas and think that you can legislate your way through, you know, solutions, or if you will, and it was something that it was very difficult for us to fill.
know.
And so as a result, we went back and said, listen, the idea didn't work out. And so, but this District D is something that is beneficial to the city overall, and we will be looking for a representative. So with that, we have a motion and a second on the floor. Any further questions or comments? Hearing none, all in favor? Any opposed, any abstentions? Okay, so the ayes have it, and we have officially declared this District D vacant. And we'll move through that process. Ms. Yolanda.
Now we have approval for corresponding resolutions that were approved at the Finance and Administration Committee.
And we can do these in globo.
Global, yes,
Okay,
Mayor.
very good.
So we need a motion to approve all the corresponding resolutions.
So move.
It's been moved by Director Pacho, seconded by Director Markowitz. Good to see you, Carol. Any questions? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed, any abstentions? Okay, so we have officially adopted corresponding resolutions, all 8 in globo. Other items are information items only, and at this time, I'm going to ask for a motion to go into executive session. And before I do that, we just know that there are 2 items that we will be taking up in executive session. And I do have to say on the record, as it relates to this body and membership, directors, Councilman King, relative to a director of this body, you would have to not be allowed to go into executive session because you voted on a matter with the New Orleans City Council, and also talks of litigation against this utility. And so you've conflicted yourself out as a member of this board representing the New Orleans City Council, and of course, serving on the New Orleans City Council. Get me straight, Ms. Yolanda?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you. So we motion to go into executive session.
So moved.
Motion second?
Second.
Seconded by Director Barnes. All in favor? Aye. Ayes have it, executive session.
Nothing set, no? It's cute.
We are ready, Mayor.
Well, we need a motion to come out of executive session. Moved by Director Sloss.
Second.
Seconded by Director Duplessis. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, ayes have it, and we are now out of executive session. At this time, just to state on the record, that the Sewage and Water Board of New Orleans continues to ensure that customer satisfaction, customer service remains a top priority for this utility for the city of New Orleans. That being said, I have directed, and Mr. Executive Director Ghassan Corbin, please move forward in your communication with the New Orleans City Council with our intent to comply as best we can relative to requirements associated with billing practices and procedures. And also for the record, this body has complied with 5 of the requirements that are meeting our people where they are, and we will continue to focus on the 2 outstanding elements. And Ghassan, you do have of course, the approval, but I'm asking you to take what has been discussed here by the board and convey to members of the New Orleans City Council. And we do have a council member who serves on the Sewage and Water Board to represent the entire New Orleans City Council. However, we did have to exclude in terms of Councilman King. He conflicted himself out as he rendered a vote on a resolution passed by the New Orleans City Council on May the 11th. And so for that, Ghassan, please go forth and relay. Any additional comments on this matter? Pro Tem, President, anything you would like to add? Any other directors?
Healthy discussion.
Okay,
Thank you.
very good. Well, thank you all. Ms. Yolanda?
That's it, Mayor. We have no public comment. Do we have a public comment? No public comment, Mayor?
Okay, very good. So we have a motion, we need a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, ayes have it. Meeting is adjourned. Thank you all so much.
The executive session.